works. Okay, so we're going to go back for a few days for today's opener. If you have severe upwelling from the ocean, as soon as I start, it's always something's. Uh-ohs. That is Erica. Okay, so if you have extreme upwelling in the ocean, what does that do to the temperature of the surface of the water?
Doesn't it make it cooler?
Yeah, it makes it colder because you're pulling from way, way, way deep, which is going to be more dense, colder, and honestly more salty water. What we're going to be talking about today is the difference between El Nino and La Nina, which there's like a fly buzzing around my screen. That was weird. I'm not sure which one we're in right now. I'll have to go back and double check. Considering how hot the ocean was, it's probably an El Nino. La Nina makes it colder. When you have upwelling, when it brings the water from the floor of the ocean up, that's colder water. So that's going to actually cool off the ocean surface. I don't know what I did with my clicker. There it is. Hopefully this will be fairly quick. If I didn't put the little like squiggly line over the end on some of these, I apologize for like I tried to go back and like Google Slides just doesn't like stuff. It just doesn't. The biggest cycle, it's abbreviated ENSO, but the biggest cycle for our weather patterns, at least in this part of the world, is El Nino. Okay, and La Nina, and it's basically what happens to the temperature of the surface of the ocean, and the interaction between the surface of the ocean and the atmosphere is the primary thing that drives extreme severe weather patterns, at least in this portion of the planet. That's not necessarily true in other areas, but like I've said before, we focus here because we live here. Sometimes these things cause a drier, like more risk for fires, like in California. Sometimes they cause much wetter weather, so more risk of flooding, which is what we've had recently. But ENSO is the acronym for this back and forth. Oscillation means to go back and forth if you don't know what that word means. So we have a warming and cooling fight back and forth depending on what's happening with the temperature of the ocean. And I don't know how many of these images, how many of these images I threw into Canvas. I don't think I did. Oh, I put a couple at the very, very, very end. Ooh, it's getting dark out there.
It's that tornado.
It's that tornado. It's coming to get us. Take away the school. No, I know. We're in a tornado warning like through the day. Something like that. Yeah, I keep getting like alerts left and right on my phone. So I just don't want it to hail. I would rather drive my vehicle home and put it in my garage and walk.
I paid $800 for $800 for nothing.
You paid mine off. I don't even get hailed. What a horrible. But that's the way it works. Okay, so these weather patterns happen in the Pacific. Okay, even though obviously this is going to have a temperature change globally. Oh, is that another tornado watch thing going on? Closest strike within 10 miles. Be careful. A storm is nearby. Okay, well, I can't tell because it's dark outside. Oh, goodness gracious. So anyways, these things happen in the Pacific. Yes, they do affect global temperature patterns. I hope I'm not muted on Google Meet. I'm not. Okay. It's been a very, very, very long couple weeks. I'm discombobulated. So the two, like these two blue circles, these two blue patterns on the map, they start forming at the beginning of hurricane season, at least for us, which is the beginning of June. They actually ramp up at the end of the year, and then they slow back down, and then they just start back up again. So it's pretty much year round. It's just when are these warming or cooling trends the most severe? And it can cause all different kinds of odd, wicked weather across the planet. Like I said, I should have done it yesterday, but I didn't. Literally took yesterday off. The warming trend, El Nino, which I don't know if you have taken Spanish, it literally translates to like little boy, but that's not actually where that came from. I'm so sorry, let me go back. I think there was one more. Back in the 1600s, in December, okay, so Christmas time, that's when this was first noticed, first recorded. So El Nino literally translates to the Christ child. Yeah, I know Nino means boy in Spanish, but that's not what it was named for. It was named because it was first noticed during Christmas time. Jeez. I can't read it because it's like, yeah, just counselor. El Nino is, good Lord, your allergies are just as bad as mine, aren't they? I got tissues here and there. I know it's horrendous. My eyes are so puffy right now. It's ugh. Ugh. Hopefully the rain will wash some of this pollen. It'll, yeah, you should be right back. And I don't know where my green pass went, so it's vanished. The warming trend, El Nino, is way more common than La Nina. La Nina is the one that brings the upwelling. La Nina is actually really, really, really good for fishing. And I'll show you a couple of different maps as we go through what happens. But when you have upwelling, it brings all the nutrients up to the surface, and the fish go bonkers because they have extra food. La Nina is more of a coastal thing. El Nino is more of a further out to ocean kind of thing. And give or take, every so often they cycle. Sometimes they last for a long period of time, but normally they don't. All right, so El Nino first. And if I'm not mistaken, I did all of El Nino and then I did La Nina, and then I sort of bounced back and forth between the two at the end. You have a weak, and it does say sometimes reverse, which means it's going to blow the wrong way, easterly trade wind. And the map, and I know it's not like the most pretty map or anything like that, but this is what's showing what occurs, oh my goodness, with an El Nino, where you have this low pressure that's over the Pacific. Low pressures try to bring things in. If you remember, high pressures try to push things away. And you're going to have warmer temperatures towards the north, okay, so less severe winters. Not that you're not going to have a winter that's not as cold. And you're going to have, are you okay?
Yes. That's fine.
Okay. And then you're going to have a much more swampy kind of thing towards the south. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to flood, but you're going to have more moisture. So when it does rain, there's less like ability to percolate into the earth. And you're going to, in general, especially with your urban areas, you're going to have more, or at least a higher chance of flooding. This shows just another one of what is going to be occurring. And I know that's sort of pushing off not towards where we live, but once again, this is a Pacific Ocean thing that happens between the ENSO, the fluctuation between your warming and your cooling. So it, like I said, if you take in Spanish, I know El Nino like translates in Spanish to little boy, okay, but it's not what it was named for. Like I said, it was because this was originally discovered a long time ago, over 400 years ago, at Christmas time. I can't remember if there's one more. Is there one more? Oh, look at that. Ooh, I didn't animate the next slide right. As far as El Nino is concerned, like I said, this is way more common than La Nina, the warming trend. So your higher chance of either hurricanes or typhoons, depending on where you live. Same thing. Can be caused by volcanic activity. It doesn't have to be. And the longest one, at least from when I did my research a couple weeks ago, it was a 6-year-long warming trend. Now that I didn't fact check myself on that. If there was one that was longer than that, then it was after 2010-ish. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure we're in one right now. But I'm not here. I'm gonna fact check myself right now. Lightning alert. There's got another one. Let me Oh, I can't type them. No, not or that's real life. Let's see what it says. I don't know. It has false information. It's not telling me. The 2021 La Nina event, we're actually in a cooling. That's odd, considering the hurricane season that we had last year. Oh, lovely. That means we're gonna flip. We're gonna flip the season. That's not good. We had like the worst recorded hurricane season ever in a La Nina. That's not good. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to pay attention to that when I start building the global warming notes for next week. So anyways, thinking ahead, I'm all discombobulated. With El Nino, like I said, you have a warming trend. This is in the Pacific, so off the coast of California. Your trade winds can be reversed. They're flowing the wrong way, or they're just not strong enough. And so your cooling winds, and if you've never noticed, if you're working out and all of a sudden the wind blows, you cool off quite a bit quicker. You don't have as much of that with an El Nino. It's, I guess, more stagnant might be the right word. It's just sort of sits there and allows your temperatures from the ocean to warm up the temperature of the atmosphere. There's a picture on here. Let me see. There is. There's a picture on here. With El Nino, because your winds are not as strong, your faster wind across the surface of the water is what forces a boat. With an El Nino, that doesn't happen. You don't have that faster air, you don't have that upwelling, and you start to get starvation of your fish populations. This specifically, and I know it's not, this specifically happened with anchovy populations, which I think anchovies are disgusting. You might like them, but ugh, no, I don't want to eat a whole fish. That's just gross to me. But so you have with this particular image, you don't have that cool water being forced up to the surface. You have more of a in the ocean, not towards the coast. Like I said, La Nina is a coastal thing. That's where the upwelling happens. That's where the fishing is anyways. With an El Nino, that's not true. It stays more centrally located in the ocean itself. I'm hoping I didn't misspell anything on this one. I didn't have a chance to proofread since my coworkers are now texting me like crazy. All right, now La Nina. Okay, so the other side of INSO, you have a upwelling. You've got much stronger winds. This is a coastal thing. I always keep these just in case I mess something up and they need to check for attendance. So with El Nino, you had a low over the Pacific, okay, which pulls things towards the center of the ocean. With a, yeah, I think they're open right there. I don't even know because I haven't been here for 2 days. With La Nina, you have a high pressure over the Pacific, which pushes stuff away. So, because things go from high to low pressure. With this one, you're going to have cooler than normal. It doesn't mean like the stuff that we went through, which my niece swears we were going through an ice age. That's one of the, yeah, I swear my niece. But you're going to have cooler winters towards the north, and you're going to have much drier conditions in the south. So this is the opposite pattern for our neck of the woods. With these particular ones, like I said, your trade winds are stronger. Faster air is going to, it's like creating a vacuum. It's going to pull that cooler water up. It brings the nutrients with it. It makes the fish populations very, 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 very happy. And like I said, La Nina is a coastal event. El Nino is like a middle of the ocean event. So we've got cooling of the ocean water. That's because you've got upwelling. It's bringing that cooler, saltier water from the floor of the ocean up. La Nina doesn't have anything fancy. I said, if you've taken Spanish, El Nino means little boy and La Nina means little girl. That's just what it means. They're not as common. They don't last as long in general. You do have some fluctuation. Oh, I just said a bad word. Yeah, that didn't pronounce right. For La Nina, the longest one was about half the time period of the longest El Nino, which makes sense because they occur about half the amount of time anyways. Yes. We don't have monsoons here. In places like India, your more Asian areas, your monsoon seasons go crazy during a La Nina. In this area, that's when we tend to have droughts. I mean, specifically since we're in the south. And I stapled my paper backwards. So much. Like I said, La Nina is a coastal event. It's awesome for the fishing industry, specifically off of our west coast. Did I show this one? Yes. Okay, so El Nino had a circulation to the center, and your weather cloud, like this picture, but El Nino was focused over the center of the ocean. La Nina, on the other hand, is going to push your weather events towards the coast, which is where the upwelling occurs. Like I said, this is awesome for fish populations, specifically for plankton, for shrimp, for your smaller fish, which obviously then feeds the bigger fish. But it's a completely and totally different weather pattern. Lord, my nose is itching so bad. It needs to do some major raining and wash all the snot out of the air. That this is doing my good. It just itches. Oh, that picture's a little uncomfortable. A little bit smaller. Normally catch that as I'm. There we go. It's a little better. That's much better. Lots of pictures on this one. And I'm gonna have to go back into Canvas and double check and make sure that I got everybody's attendance. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I fixed up through sixth period. Going back and forth between the sub, because this was really nice when they do this and they leave me an attendance roster, at least for in person. I know for those of you that are remote, I have to go into Canvas and double check it. I am working on it. Did it for almost a solid hour this morning. So, okay, so anyways, La Nina is upwelling. You are bringing that nutrient-rich water from the floor of the ocean. Then, like I said, La Nina is a coastal event. You've got your plankton, which phytoplankton specifically are the ones that are they use photosynthesis. But that's the beginning of most of your food chain in the ocean. They feed everything from shrimp up to gigantic whales, like the blue whale. Yes. Most of our fish, whatever it is, I may not be a fish person, but most of the fish that we consume does come from these types of events. And like I said, this is a coastal event. This is not where we have to go out in deep ocean. Let me check on one real quick. Because I think I saw it there. Okay. It didn't work. Got. Oh yeah, I've got extra people. Okay, so I see. Okay. Okay, I got Erica. Mauricio. Taylor, Braylon. Madison, Joseph, Sarah. Mm, okay. So much stuff I do. I swear, y'all, I hate when I miss. Oh, it takes me forever to get caught back up. So, what are the bad things that these occur? Because they're like I said, they sort of do opposite sides of the coin, but both of them are destructive. Which according to the internet, because the internet does not lie, we're actually ending a La Nina and going back into an El Nino, which actually terrifies me for my friends that I moved from for the case of hurricanes. Still can't believe it was a La Nina with that system that we had, or systems for that matter, that we had last year, because this year was horrendous. El Nino, so the warmer water in the Pacific. You're going to have your western states have more flooding. It can cause tornadoes. Now, the tornado thing I'm going to come back to because some of the stuff I saw when I researched it said that yes, tornadoes are sprung from this event, and others said no, they're not. So I've seen conflicting information with tornadoes. But Tornado Alley, which we're at the butt end of, tends to be more active with an El Nino system. I mean, we're going to have them anyways, but you're going to have just more wicked weather in general with the south. You're going to have a more heavy blizzard situation, I guess is the right word. It says snowmageddon on here. No, and the stuff that we went through, that was just weird. That was just a freak system. This particular image is a little bit better. When you have an El Nino, you're going to have just a different pattern. You're going to have a swampier south, you're going to have a drier center of the country, you're going to have a colder way north, like not normal winter, like way, way, way north as far as frigid air. But yeah, that stuff that we went through when it was -4, that was probably the most extreme that I've ever seen in this area. I've seen that kind of stuff in the Northeast. I remember 20 below as a kid. I remember digging out a second story window when St. Helens went kablowy. I was little. We're not used to that down here. We don't winterize our homes down here because it doesn't get that cold. And that's why so many people have pipe problems. When the water expands, great. Your pipes are plugged, but as soon as it starts to thaw and everything contracts, that's when everything started leaking. All right, now La Nina, on the other hand, your cooler surface areas, we get the picture. There it is. You're going to have more of a drought-like condition in the south. You're still going to have drier conditions along the breadbasket. That's true of both of them. It's something that they have in common. You're going to have more of a periodic cold weather in the super north, whereas with the other one, it was more of an extended time period. Like I said, these sort of fluctuate back and forth. Your Pacific, so more like up towards Oregon and Washington, they're going to be your swampier areas. I'm going to have to double check during my third period and make sure what I've just read off of my phone is true, because I can't believe that last summer was a La Nina with the hurricane season that we had. Although That's a Pacific Ocean thing, and the hurricanes that get thrown at us come off of Africa, which is an Atlantic thing. And we had bad Saharan dust right at the beginning of the school year too. I have to go back and double check all that because I am not a meteorologist. And I'd never heard of INSO before I built this stuff. You okay? You're stretching? Oh, I would have loved to have taken another day off, but yeah, too much stuff to do. I said, my only fear is I might have to take off Friday to pick up kids' ashes. Oh, horrid few weeks it's been. So weird weather from both of these, and it does tell you like which specific event it was. Was it a Nina or a Nino? We have had horrendous like California wildfire kind of situations in Texas because of La Ninas. We've had, and like I said, increased tropical storms. We obviously just had that, and according to my phone, we just went through a La Nina, and we're getting ready to flip to an El Nino. Now, we have had bigger hurricanes than Floyd. Ike was way bigger than Floyd. Ike was bigger than Texas. That was in 2008. Yes, 2008. Other parts of the world don't necessarily drought. Sometimes they flood. We had anchovies, which, like I said, I don't like anchovies. I think they're disgusting. But the Peru fishing was devastated with El Ninos. Like I said, El Ninos don't allow the upwelling. It keeps the nutrients down, and so you get starvation because of the things that feed off of the plankton. You get starvation and sometimes collapse of fish populations of different ecosystems. Now, here's that thing about tornadoes, because I've seen both. Some of the research that I did linked increased tornadic activity, at least in our country with this, and others have said no, that there's not a significant increase, a mild increase, but not a significant increase with tornadic activity. I see that, and here we are in a tornado watch. Woohoo! Well, I don't want to scare you. I don't think we're actually under a watch. It's where we're at. To you. Oh, don't track me. Ooh, there's a nasty band coming. It's about to smack into us.
No. Well.
I mean, no! I don't want hail. I don't want tornadoes. No! I mean, I want it to rain. I want the pollen to get out of the air. It's driving me nuts. But no, I don't want hail and like shingles torn off my roof. No. I know this is before your time. I was what, 10 when this happened. I remember that. I remember how dry it was. That was the year that we had something like 40 straight days over 100 degrees in Texas. I remember, I lived in Pennsylvania when this happened, but my mom's family is in the Louisville area, and I remember coming to visit and it being so freaking hot. It was bad. We had lots and lots and lots of crops fail. The wheat, the corn, the barley, what else was grown smack down in the middle? The soybeans, we had all different kinds of things fail, like Nebraska, Kansas, that breadbasket kind of area. This just sort of compares the two. It's the previous slides that I just sort of put on top of each other. Like I said, an El Nino puts a low, which is going to pull things in. It's going to keep your upwelling off of your coast. Tends to be swampier in our area, tends to be a little bit cooler. La Nina tends to be a little bit warmer, tends to be a little bit drier, at least in our area. That's like reverse for your northern parts. Like I said, El Nino is a low pressure, pulls into the center of the ocean. La Nina is a high pressure, pushes away from the center of the ocean. And that's what causes your difference in temperature. That is the last slide, right? Let me freeze this. Let's see here. Let me stop this and let me pull up. I don't like putting your names.